Russia pushes into Ukraine and we mark a year into the invasion, one of the most significant, and Rachel said predictable, but is it, developments has been the growing relationship between Russia and China.
But how did this alliance start? Let's go off the wall to look back at the two countries' key moments in history. Wasn't always an easy relationship between Russia, or then the Soviet Union, and China. If you look back starting in the 1960s, there was a split between the two communist nations at that time, Pete.
And that was the moment both of them emerged from different contexts, right? So you had the Communist Manifesto and Marx and the rise of communism. You had a civil war that was fought inside China for basically 30 years. Mao Zedong led it, founded the Chinese Communist Party. But that happened during World War II. So China ultimately was left out of the world order that was established after World War II. Russia itself also had a revolution in the 1920s, and led by Vladimir Lenin. The czars were kicked out. The communists came in. They founded the USSR, and they were immersed in the Cold War. So by the time you get to the 60s, these two bigger emerging powers, both communist, had a conflict over their border.
And then that left a door open to the United States to thaw relationships under President Nixon in the 70s with China. But fast forward to the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s, and you begin to reestablish what they called a constructive partnership with China in the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, the Soviet Union falls, and Russia starts to look around for friends because they're in a precarious situation. We attempted to reach out even more so to the Russians, hoping they would be pulled in our orbit and in our direction post-fall of the Soviet Union. One of the people we pinned some hopes on, actually, was Vladimir Putin. At the turn of the century, George Bush and others looked to create a constructive relationship. Obviously, that's not the way it went.
China's current leader, Xi Jinping, steps in 2013, visits Moscow early on in his leadership of China. And then there is the Russian invasion of Crimea, which begins sort of the first domino to fall in our current tensions over in Eastern Europe. And the U.S. sanctions Russia for that annexation of China.
For sure. So we allow it to happen. It happens. We come out against it, but Xi Jinping is willing to back Vladimir Putin. You got two really ambitious individuals here that lead two very powerful civilizations who want the future to be theirs, but they have one immovable object in front of them, and that's the United States of America. Right. So do they try to fight against us independently, or do they slowly but surely start to come together to get rid of the West so that they can then figure out who's in charge in the future?
And that's why we're having this conversation, because that's what we've seen as of late, them coming together in opposition to the United States. Let's take a look. Let's dive in just a little bit more into their shared history. 1991, they sign a border agreement. Now, they share a 2,600-mile border to China and Russia.
So if they decided to squabble over that endlessly, you could, and that's what the first war was premised on in 1960. By signing that agreement, they basically end that and say, we don't have to worry about threats from each other, which allow them to export elsewhere and worry about other, both internal. Remember, internal threats are huge for these communist countries. They live on suppression of their population. So if they're worrying about a border dispute, it distracts them from their own population and other foreign ambitions.
But the real backdrop to any of these potential wars is the economic backdrop. And that is the economic war that starts and often predates the kinetic war. And what's happening? China and Russia's economy getting more intertwined. First of all, China is Russia's #1 export destination for crude as a singular country. It is their primary place. Now, they send a lot to Europe, and that's why this war has been such an important point. But in the wake of that, China has become their #1 single recipient of Russian oil exports.
And much like the rest of the world, China then turns around and exports telephones, computers, technologies, and others into Russia. Again, what a great relationship. We'll give you energy, we'll give you the technology, which already comes with the ability to censor, because the Chinese do that so well. The Russians want to do that as well with their population. So as we push more and more sanctions, the relief valve for the Russians are the Chinese, willing participants economically to continue to fuel Russia's economy.
I found this stat fascinating. Of the 60 automobile brands sold in Russia, 14 are left. 14 out of 60 brands are left. 11 of those car manufacturers are in China.
Yeah, China is willing to bankroll as a backstop Russia right now. The big question that we'll introduce in the future is, what if it becomes weapons also?
Pushing for more tourism from Chinese, fewer Europeans visiting Russia in the wake of this war, more Chinese visiting.
And this is a staggering number. Yeah. 74% of Russians have a favorable view of China. That's fertile ground for increased partnership between those two countries, especially when there's a lot of dissatisfaction amongst the Russian population of the war in Ukraine. Although Vladimir Putin consolidated a lot of that, and the war has become more popular inside Russia than it was at the beginning.
Talk about the oil imports increasing over the last year or so. Let's talk really quickly about the growing relationship between Russia and China just in the past 18 months, last year. Beijing has not condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
You know what? Part of the reason they don't want to condemn it is because they don't want their move on Taiwan to be condemned by Moscow. So they've stood on the sidelines here and allowed Vladimir Putin to do what he wants.
Russia is turning to cut its dependence on the U.S. dollar, buying up more Chinese yuan.
Again, they don't want a world dominated by the U.S. So if the dollar is dominant, their ability to influence international trade is lessened. So Russia turning to the Chinese, massive economy, big significance.
And now Xi is preparing to visit China.
And now face to face.
Yeah.
And if they formalize this relationship militarily even more, and we bog down in Ukraine, what happens when when China moves on Taiwan?
Exactly. There are many saying that the world has already divided economically between East and West. The real threat next is, do they divide militarily along those very same lines, right, East and West?
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.